So here we are at the entrepreneurial marriage and the entrepreneurial family. And for some of you, this section means nothing. I mean, you're single, you're 21, and you don't really care, and that's cool. So don't worry about it. For some of you, it's everything, though, because the marriage is super important to you. The kids are, your heart's desire. And I'm going to share this picture and kind of the meaning behind it. I just took it literally today, and it's my son, Isaac, cleaning my golf clubs. And he's got a tee in his hand where he goes through each little crevice of the club, spit shines it, and I'm going to tell you the very interesting story behind that, and just it was a super proud dad moment. But let's get to marriage first. And again, these are just my thoughts. These are just my opinions. A couple things before I get into it is I've had a lot of people. We do not have the perfect marriage, so don't let me try to bedazzle you with that we're the perfect marriage. With that said, I've had lots of unsolicited friends and unsolicited comments from other couples. I remember we had a babysitter who babysat a lot for us, and I just probably like 4 or 5 months pretty solidly, like 15, 20 hours a week, where we were still around the house. We have 4 kids, and it's kind of almost a nanny thing. And just one night I said, you know what, we'll call her Sarah. I said, you know what, Sarah, I really appreciate you. You do a great job around here, and we trust you with the kids, and we just really do appreciate you. And she said, you guys, I've seen lots of marriages. I've never seen anything like this. You guys are in love. You treat each other with respect. You have fun together. And so, that being said, and I've had friends who said, you're the only couple, younger, like the younger kids that are in college or whatever, they'll say, you're the only couple we would ever be even close to because couples just seem boring. They seem tense, blah, blah, blah. And I want to share all that backdrop on Shani and I have had some freaking tense moments. In fact, we had one couple friend that said, we were talking about marriage and I was giving a couple insights, and the guy said, well, you know what? You and Shani don't even count because you guys aren't even realistic at you guys have it all figured out, and everything's cool with you guys, but it's assumed that that just showed up. Well, it didn't. We had so much tension. I can't even describe to you the kinds of tension that we've had financially and emotionally in our marriage, and we've worked at it. We've made it a craft. So I'm excited to share what I'm sharing, and it's not law. I'm not giving you doctrine. I'm just giving you some ideas that worked for us, especially in light of online marketing. So without further ado, here we go. We're doing marriage first. I got 5. Let me just walk you through what's going on here. I got 5 quick things about marriage. I'm not going to spend forever on these things. And then I've got entrepreneurial kids, and I've got, I believe it's 7 very, I think, huge things when it comes to raising kids and raising them so that they're not just tools, but raising them so that they've got some gumption. So here we go. This is crazy. I'm going to start off being crazy. I want you to think about boxing anything, any kind of money conversation into specific times. And I'm going to say the times should not be in the morning. They should not be before bed, and they should not be right after work. In other words, when Shani and I first got married, we were so broke. We were broke for 5 straight years, and this was the deal. We wake up in the morning. Here we are. Wow, that looked kind of. We wake up in the morning, and we roll over. Basically, it's like, okay, don't spend any money because we don't have anything on the credit card. Yeah, and we got to pay for that dentist bill. That was like our morning conversation. And then we just had no money. Money was a constant conversation, constantly. It was like money was always being brought up 24/7. It was so tiresome. It was so annoying. And then even after I started making money, we always talking about money. It was just stupid. It was lame. It was just dumb. So what we did is we said, you know what? When it comes to the morning and I wake up, let's not talk about money. Let's not talk about money. You know what? Open up a book. It could be the Bible. It could be a motivational book. It could be something you're reading about parenting. I don't care what it is, but let's just talk about. There's nothing drama in the morning. Let's just not go there. Let's make mornings sacred. And then before bed, let's not talk about the stresses of anything. And right when I come home or I get out of the office or whatever, let's not talk about money again. So basically, this is what has happened over time. We almost never talk about money. But we did have a time where the only time it was like allowed was maybe Tuesday afternoon at like 2 o'clock. We'd get together and have a freaking business meeting. Here, let's talk about money. Let's talk about what's going on. Talk about the crap, anything, anything. Talk about the crap, the money things, the stresses. Dump it all at 2 p.m. But you know what? Don't have an open dumping session where homes are just living dumping. It's just dumping and stress. And oh my gosh. Hopefully, I think you see what I'm saying there. Really pocket and box your money conversations and just say, you know what? Let's try this for a week. Just try it once. And if you talk about money so often in your marriage, try it just even once every other day. Just say, you know what? At 6 p.m., right before dinner, let's have the money talk. If there's stuff to talk about money, let's have it. And you'll learn that you can control that conversation. It's so powerful. Just food for thought. Number two is realize that couples almost never are on the same page. And don't expect your spouse to be on the same page, but they're often at least in the same book. They're at least in the same book, and both people are reading more of the book. But you're never going to be on the same page. It just doesn't happen. But you're in the same book. Let me see Let me give you an example. Okay, it comes to nutrition. One of you might be a little bit more freakish than the other. Okay, you might be really, really freakish about your nutrition. And in our marriage, I was more on the side of wanting to go for the nutrition thing early on than my wife was. So she would come home and the kids would have, Fruity Pebbles and all these sugar cereals. I just didn't grow up with them. And to me, they're just pure sugar, empty carbs. I just didn't get it. And here's the point. Resist the urge to preach at your spouse about all the stuff you're learning. Rather, demonstrate totally through actions and results. And I came to a point where I said, you know what, this whole food conversation could get really, really old with my wife talking about health all the time, or money, prosperity, whatever, and preaching at her, thinking she's going to change if I preach or something. But generally, we were on the same book that we both wanted to be a little bit healthier. We both wanted to have our kids have a legacy of health that we leave them, and not obesity and diabetes and all these things that poor nutrition can bring on. So what I did was I pretty much just started eating pretty clean, eating pretty natural. And I have no rule. I don't have any rule when it comes to food. So I'll eat anything. I'm not worried about it. But I'm not a psycho about it. But here's what happened. Over time, I noticed that my wife and we merged pretty tightly on the nutrition things, and the fruits started showing up. But I didn't talk her into it or preach her into it. I just started eating fruits, and I said, honey, can you make sure there's more fruits like right at the front of the fridge, so I'm not tempted to reach for sugar stuff when I really just need that sucrose, and I'd rather eat it with fruits. And I think our kids, let's experiment with fruit instead of fruit snacks and just see how that works. And just be collaborative with it, and don't have, just realize, and this is the big thing. I've given this to a lot of couples advice. You're not going to be on the same page, but you're in the same book. And attempt to do this collaboratively. And the best way you can transform your spouse is just your own actions. It's not your words. Your words are much weaker than you think, but your actions are very, very intense. So if you want to eat less, like let's say your spouse is gaining weight, you're losing weight. Well, you know what? Just work out a little bit more, and what'll happen is your spouse will kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to get in shape too. And a lot of unity happens there. I'm not going to spend much time on this. Again, this is just some food for thought on making the happy marriage. Number 3, promise off nights that are totally sanctified, and realize that the online marketing world, we are not in the emergency room business. This is not like, oh my gosh, a prospect, they're ready to buy it, and if they don't buy right now, and if I don't close them right now, then I'm going to lose all this money. If you have that mentality that this is an emergency, you're going to be tied to your phone. You're going to be tied to your email. You're going to be a loser. Really, you're going to be a loser, and you're going to resent your business. Put your business in its place. and leave it there and go on a date and don't respond to business related stuff and have off nights. I don't know. There was periods when I was building the business from scratch where I said, honey, I got about 30 minutes of family time a day. That's all I can. I'm really working to make this thing happen for us. That's all you get. That's all we're going to do. I'll walk the kids around the block for 30 minutes. I want, if it's possible, can you just bring me food down to my cave and I'll just nibble on stuff and I'm working. I'm really after building the dream for us, and that's the deal. So there's times where you're working like a psychopath, but just to have agreement that, hey, it's psychopath week. Like there'll be weeks when I'm in a launch or something where I'll say, you know what, this whole week it's an all week. It might be an all nighter. It I am working like a psycho. And Sunday night, it's we'll do a family movie. We'll hang out. It'll be good. And then the next week, I'm gonna not do anything in the evenings or whatever. But this week, I'm just telling you, it's super busy. I'm gonna go crazy, and I'm not wasting time. I'm not dorking around on Facebook. I'm producing income for us. Okay, so you got to have that kind of balance where you say, I'll make it up to you with interest. Okay. Number 4, when it comes to griping about anything, this is a radical thought too. Radical again, I'm not going to press you to do these things because but if you're watching this, just food for thought. When it comes to griping about anything at all, a dirty bathroom sink, leaving towels out, anything you want to gripe out at all, if you're too lazy, this is my theory on it, if you're too lazy to thoughtfully write it down and present it at a meeting time. If you're going to griping is so dangerous, it is so deadly that I recommend if you have some things that are worthy of griping, say, you know what, let's do this Tuesday. Let's do Tuesday 8 p.m. before we watch whatever show we watch or something, or 7:30. I'd just like to talk about some stuff. I don't know, just little things that I don't want to bring up and, annoy you with all the time. And here's the thing. I started doing this because I was a griper and my wife was a griper, and we were just griping lunatics. Your towel. Hang up your towel. Oh, I'm so sick of seeing your socks in the corner. Stupid, constant dripping. And it's deadly to a marriage. It will absolutely destroy your marriage if you gripe. It'll ruin your kids too, because your kids will grow up in a culture of gripe. It's terrible. So here's what I just started doing. I said, you know what? Anything that's worth griping about to me, I'm going to write in a letter, just like a business letter kind of to my wife, and share my heart and the spirit of why this is an issue to me, whatever it is. If it's too much sugar cereal, just say, hey, I feel like the kids will have just as much happiness eating raisins as they would eating fruit roll-ups. And so can we go with the raisins and just experiment with that a little bit? Or just, if it's worth griping about, to me, it was worth writing out. So what I started doing was I started silencing my mouth on griping. And it was amazing. Our house started changing because guess what? The griping didn't come back. See, you open up griping. It's like you open up a can of worms and then you gripe about something and she'll gripe right back, or vice versa. And it's just ugly. So here's my 2 cents on this. If it's worth griping about, it's poison. So don't gripe about it in a gripey, unsafe environment. Write it down, literally. And if you're not in the mood to write it down, don't say it. That's where I landed. And I'm not saying I perfectly obey that rule like it's some crazy rule. But if you want peace in the home, man, it's awesome. Now, number 5, this is a biggie, especially if you guys are both going for this. Dream together. We sit, and my wife and I, we have a journal and we dream out. Let's just write down what we want. Write down 25 things you want. I want a massage every week. This was before we had any money. I want a massage every week. I want to go to Hawaii. I want to drive a brand new car. We were doing all these things together, and it's so powerful. But the thing is, we didn't live in the dream, and we loved the moment, literally, and the journey. And you don't want to base your happiness on the future. You want to cherish each other now, though. This is a little Oprah. But here's my point. Dream together. Say, you know what? Let's carve out a little time. Instead of watching that TV show that is minorly impactful on our total well-being, let's just go back and forth and ask, what do you really want? I learned that from Mark Victor Hansen. Ask your spouse, what do you really want? Just just do it. Try to keep it positive and just go back and forth. What do you really want? 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 Your heart just starts coming up. It just starts bubbling up. You get to know each other better and you dream together. But again, if you have the new home in the future, like for us, I made $1 million. I had made $1 million before I even bought a new car. I was driving I think it was like a 1992 Nissan Maxima with a huge dent in the door. The car wasn't even worth $1,200, and I've made $1 million. I dreamed of the new car, but the thing was, I was still happy in the Nissan, and I'm much happier in the Cadillac now. Don't get me wrong, but my point is, dream together as a couple if it's possible, and it's sweet. Try it. You're gonna love it. Now let's get to the kids thing. And again, kids are a sensitive issue, and there's a lot of dynamics in raising kids. These are just Mark Hoverson's thoughts. So they're unusual. I will say they're unusual. And just work with them. Here we go. Entrepreneurial kids. Number one, I recommend you have them order their own meals at restaurants. If they're 4 years old, if they're 5, if they're 6, if they're 7. I was teasing my 4-year-old. Listen, you got to learn to read, because when you hit 4 years old, you have to order your own food, and if you don't know how to order your own food, you don't get to eat. Now, a little joke, but you got to learn to read. And actually, we have our 5 and 6-year-old teach our 3 and 4-year-old how to do hooked on phonics. Like, we're having them mentor each other. Now we have 4 kids. There's a lot of kids these days, I guess, but engage them as much as possible. But my mom, when I was in 6th grade, I was setting up my own dentist and doctor appointments. She said, anytime Thursday between 3:30 and 6:30, call and see if you can get your dentist appointment. And I was like, Mom, are you nuts? I'm a kid. She's like, just do it. Call up the dentist thing and do it. And I think a lot of what Mom did for me as a kid, I mean, it's priceless. I remember I had a question about some Bible thing, and Dad didn't know the answer, and Mom didn't know the answer. And Mom said, get on the phone and call the pastor. And I'm like, Mom, I'm in 5th grade. Call the pastor? Are you nuts? Kids don't do this. I remember thinking that, like, you're nuts. And she said, Mark, and I loved basketball at the time. My mom was great at putting parables. And she said, Mark, if a first grader called you up with questions about basketball, would you say, oh, I don't want to answer those? You'd be happy. This pastor actually will be thrilled to hear from a kid with a question about the Bible. So you do it, and it'll be good for him. Mom taught me how to sell concepts so good. I love you, Mom. Anyway, another thing with a classroom teacher thing, like in 1st grade, there was a little issue with Isaac. And instead of being that parent that calls and races to the teacher and talks to the teacher, I said, Isaac, tomorrow you're going to talk to the teacher about this, and you're going to address this issue, that issue, and that issue, and then let me know what happens. And I don't think Mom or I need to be involved at all. Okay? So have them don't fight every battle for your kids. That's my 2 cents on it. Don't try to save the day for your kids. I'm telling you, they will resent you because they will be disempowered when they become older, and they will become needy. They'll be horrible spouses, and just don't go there. Again, these are just my thoughts, just food for thought. Now, this is another controversial one. I believe that any work your kids can do, they should do. Meaning if they are physically and mentally able to perform something, they should do it, which means cleaning the table, loading the dishwasher, vacuuming, cooking for the family. And my kids are all 7 years and under, and they do all those things. My 5 and 7-year-old will prepare breakfast for the whole family. I mean, they're just putting toast and buttering things and this and that and the other thing. But listen, if they can do it, they should do it. Now, the reason most of us resist doing this is because teaching them to clean the table is work, right? Teaching them to do it well, it takes a lot of work, and it's just way faster for you to do it. But again, if you want to, I'm just giving you food for thought on how to really raise up your kids so that they're responsible, raise them up so that they know how to work. They're going to be bang up employees. They're going to be smarter kids, and they're going to be leaders and entrepreneurial down the road. So just food for thought. Teach them how to load the dishwasher. If they're 5 or above, They should know how to load and do the whole deal with the dishwasher. And a lot of times, because again, it's the same with business. If you try to over mother your team, you just basically disempower them. You disable your team by doing so much of stuff for them. So the gist of it is engage them in the family life. That's just my two. That's just my 2 cents. Now, I told this to a father once, and he had his kid do the trimming bushes, and the kid almost cut off his finger. He was like 5. Oh my gosh! And I remember the wife was like, "You told him that. You told him." She was not happy. So keep it safe. Safety first, but not total coddling first. Safety first, not coddling. My 2 cents again. Here's deeper thoughts. Number 3, talk with them about business. Talk with your kids about business. Share with them. Tell them. The cool thing with the internet is you can shoot a video and you can talk about selling a product, and then that video can work for you 24 hours a day while you're sleeping. And so I'll tell the kids, I'll say, what's crazy? I'll bring them over and I'll open up my email. Let me get a drink real quick. I'll open up my email and I'll say, here's how this money showed up. Do you see how this money's showing up right now? It's showing up because I'm making a profit on a product. And you can either make money with your time, meaning, I could go to some place and work and be paid $25 an hour or something, or I can learn how to sell a product through these videos and I can make $200 every time someone buys them. Which one would you rather do? Right? Talk to your kids. Don't think they're too little to figure it out either. Kids love discussions about money and business. Let them in. Let them in. Avoid terms of lack and fear too. Don't curse your kids with poverty mentality about money. Show them the potential here. It's beautiful. Invite them into the adult conversations about profit and society, and ask them to solve the riddle. I have them solve riddles all the time. I'll say, here's the deal. Here's what happened. One of my staff did this. Okay, they did this and it was bad. Okay, it was a teammate or a staff. They did something bad and it cost me money. Okay, I lost money on it and I didn't need to, and it was 100% their fault. What should I do? Now, I remember the kids right away, well, fire them, right? Fire them. And I said, well, here's the thing though. They've made that mistake. I've addressed it and I've invested a lot in this person. And if I let them go now, I have to actually start back from square one with somebody else. And so I've addressed it and I corrected it and they received it. And now I think I have a better employee right now than I did before the mistake. And they go, wow, wow. And my kids are always asking me about business, but let them in on the drama of it all. If you share a challenge that you overcame and how you did it, and engage them, and you don't have to talk in kid voices and the teacher voice that kids just they're repulsed by. Talk in a normal voice and invite them into the conversation, but teach your kids. Just teach them what's going on. Now, it's another little unorthodox thing that we do. Teach them how to do a job perfectly, not just do a job, but do it perfectly and learn how to take pride in it. For instance, this picture that I was going to show you earlier of Isaac, I said, you know what, I'm going golfing. We got a big golf tournament tomorrow, and I sponsor the dang tournament, and really with clean clubs are going to help me grip the ball better. So when I strike it, it's going to be good. Now, here's the deal. Here's the system. Let the clubs soak in that water for about 2 minutes. Scrub them clean. Take the tee and go back and forth in each little ridge so you get out all the dust. And then spit shine it so when it's in the sun, it just glistens. And Isaac, I'm looking forward to this. So I showed him how to do one club, and then he started doing the clubs, and I said, I want him to just shimmer in the sunlight. So he started doing it, and what was cool was as soon as he finished mine, he went and he grabbed his clubs, and he was so excited about doing the clubs. And little Rushy came over, he's 4, and he studied, I want to do the clubs too, I want to do the clubs. But I taught Isaac how to do the clubs perfectly, literally like a pro, like a professional caddy would clean clubs. And it was a pride of ownership, and it's fun. It's fun to do work, and that's my moral of the story is I taught him how to do it perfectly. Had I just said, slop some soap and water on my clubs and clean them up, he wouldn't have taken the joy in it. So my point is, when Isaac, again, I'm going back to Isaac because he was our firstborn, when he was 2 years old, we were peeling corn cobs. And I said, Isaac, I want you to peel this corn cob perfectly, meaning I want no strings left on the cob. There's little strings. I said, every single string take off. And it might take us 30 minutes to do it, but I want you to do a perfect corn cob. And he'd bring it to me and I'd say, well, look at all these little strings still all over here. And he'd do it again. But he learned how to do a job perfectly. When it comes to pouring a perfect glass of water, literally, now this again seems like, oh, Mark, get over it. You get real. But here's the thing. Teach him the steps to perfection. And what I mean is, I tell him, you grab a glass, and I said, first off, your hands never go above where the lips are going to touch. So you always grab the glass below wherever the lips would touch. Now, I literally teach this. This is a little OCD, but the point that I want to teach is how to do something perfectly. And I said, and then you take ice and you go with the ice and you go just a little bit above half full of the ice with just pure ice. So it's ice cubes, right? And then I said, and you slowly pour cold water from the faucet. You don't crank the faucet because what will happen is it'll be an uneven drink. Now, some of you right now are tuning out and you're going, wait a minute now. Why such care? Or you're not even saying that. You're just saying this is stupid. Let me try to salvage this. If you don't teach them the finer things, they miss the bigger things. So what I said is if you pour too much water in there too fast, you get an uneven drink, temperature-wise, meaning there's warm water at the bottom and the ice rises to the top, and it's cold here, but if you drink it fast, then it's warm. It's a goofy glass of water. It's not the right glass of water. So what you do is you slowly pour, and then by the time the water gets to here, the entire temperature is iced, and the glass is truly perfect. Because when I have company, guess who gets them water? My kids. I don't want, and I tell them it's about hospitality and loving your neighbor. Our neighbors don't want your grimy little booger hands on their glasses. They don't want your hands touching the ice, and they don't deserve to drink an uneven drink. So do it perfect. And the kids take pride in it. But again, I had to teach them many lessons on how to pour a perfect glass of water. You can see, but this is fun for me because I don't want to have kids that just are just watching TV. I just don't want that. Now, here's another idea. Lemonade stand, lawn service, walking dogs, buying groceries for the elderly. Teach them to think upsells and added service. My son and I did a lemonade stand, and Shani and Isaac spent hours figuring out the perfect recipe because what I wanted to teach them was that the product is the key, okay? So we used all real lemons. We did a bunch of different tests on the best. We wanted the best glass of lemonade that people had ever drank. That was my goal. I said, we do not go to the market and we do not set up the lemonade stand until we have something that people will drink and say, this is the best glass of lemonade I've ever drank. And I said, this is the product. The product is gold. You have to make sure the products are gold. So we spent time on that. And what's the lesson there? The lesson there is pride of product again. So we get it out there and he's selling it. And I'm teaching him. It's just such a learning experience. It was totally awesome. But here's my point. He did it one day and he made like $16 and that was cool. I said, you know what? Let's bring a popcorn machine out there. So we bought a little movie stand popcorn. It's red. It's really cool. And I said, you know what? Let's test giving popcorn away for free with the lemonade. It was $1 lemonade. I said, let's just test doing a little brown bag of freshly movie style popcorn with that. And we realized that people would pay up to $3 per glass of lemonade by adding a free add-on of popcorn. And I said, you see what happened here, Isaac, is you over-delivered so much for the price that people volitionally and gladly gave you more money. Isn't this an interesting prospect? I said, isn't this interesting? And he said, yeah. And then after it was all said and done, he had a bunch of money. So maybe he had like $26. And I said, well, Isaac, the lemons cost like $4 and the cups cost $2. And we actually had to buy the ice on this one, and that was like $2 too. So forked me over $8. And he goes, Dad, $8. I mean, I only made 26. I said, no, fork me over $8. And he said, well, oh, I said, well, Isaac, if you want to, you can be my employee. I said, if you want to, I can pay you a minimum wage even. So that'd be about $7. And you worked for 1 hour, and it was, it was my money that caused this thing to happen. So I'll either give you $7 as an employee, or you can pay me $8 and have $18 of profit as an owner. Which one do you want to be? The employee or the owner? And, he smiled. And of course, he wanted to be the owner. This is Rich Dad, Poor Dad in action, my friends. Do this stuff. Life is too short to not do this stuff. It's fun anyway. Number 6. We're almost done. Have them publish how-to guides once they know how to do anything well, and share them with people. This gets them ready for information marketing big time. And have them read. Isaac is reading right now. And again, keep going to Isaac because he's 7 and Gracie's 5. And so we just can do a little bit more with Isaac at this point. But he's reading The Millionaire Messenger by Brendon Burchard. I mean, it's a best-selling How to Make a Fortune Off Your Advice. And he read some of it, and he said, yeah, it's pretty interesting, but Dad, I'd rather just do lemonade stands. That's what he told me the other day. But I'm still having him read it because kids don't have to like everything they do. That's the myth of this generation of parents, is they think, oh, the kids have to like it, and they have to be having fun at every moment of the day. And that is BS, because in the real world, that's not how it is. So why would we prepare them for a mythology? Prepare them for reality and say, I tell them, I say, Isaac, I want you to, this is part of your studies. This is part of being a son of the Hoverson. So I want you to keep reading this book. And Isaac, we've done some of this stuff. Isaac tested out at college level reading in first grade and calculus level math and doing all this stuff. But again, it's just expectations to me. You put expectations on your kids and they will live up to the expectations. So there's things online where you can publish a hardcover book, and you can the kid can draw pictures and publish it, and you can order copies, hardcover books. Just look up online. It's no Google, whatever. And we had Isaac write his own fiction book, Isaac's Adventures with His Family, and we distribute him to his teacher, to his tutor, to grandma and grandpa, to a couple aunts, and it just got him getting him ready to distribute information and experience what that feels like. So when I tell him to create a product when he's 14, he doesn't freak out because he's already done it. Number 7, and then we're done. At the end of the day, the apples don't fall far from the tree. I mean, I was just with a friend who, young. No big deal, but they had a baby right away. They didn't get married. They weren't getting married. It was kind of an accidental baby. And I go over there because I'm buddies with the guy, and he's like 20. I don't know, he's 24 or something. And I'm seeing his little muchacho kid who's like 1 year old. And I'm just looking around the environment, and it's a little tiny apartment with just mess. It's just a mess. And, the mom comes home. They're both just super middle class mindset. It's not the income I'm talking about here. It's the mindset. Just messy. I'm sure that kid's going to be growing up. MTV or whatever's going to be his dad, And this is a good guy. But I walked out and I thought, you know what? The environment that kid is raised in, the odds of him popping out and getting beyond what this struggle is just, the deck is stacked. It's just stacked against him. And the thing is, we have a power with our kids. We don't get to dominate. I mean, the kids are going to be their own kids. They're going to be their own thing. But we can create a culture. And I'll leave you with this. One of my dreams and Shani's dreams was that we're not anti-TV. We have big TVs and we love TV and like anybody else does. But my vision was that we lived lives that were so interesting in the real world that TV seemed a little boring. We're hiking the jungles of Hawaii. We're doing whale sightings in Mexico. We're having the kids learn how to spit shine golf clubs with a lot of pride. And you know what? They have a lot more enjoyment doing that than watching some brain dead TV show. So the idea was to create a culture that the kids could thrive in. And that's our goal. I mean, I'm not saying it's mission accomplished. I mean, they're young kids, so time will tell if I'm full of BS or not. But The gist of it is, those are the 2 cents. That's the entrepreneurial family and the marriage stuff. Feel free to watch this video as often as you want. And make comments. Don't try to force your spouse to watch this and have them convert, because he might, if you're a woman and here's this other, just this strange internet marketer guy, and now my wife's telling me that I should be listening to this guy, and they'll resent you for that. Or if you're the man and you're saying, wife, you got to watch this and this is important stuff. Don't do that. Just, it's better to watch this and apply it. And then, if it comes up, say, oh, it's a cool marriage thing I saw online. Let's take a look. Again, because I know how marriages work. They're funny. Anyway, I hope you love this bonus. I sure was excited to share it. Peace out.